So today we are gonna discuss the always on. So what is always on? So we heard about when SQL Server 2012 came like 2 years back. So there was a hype over there like SQL Server or Microsoft is introducing always on. So what is always on and how it's useful? So always on is basically like we discussed clustering yesterday. So in clustering, the main advantage which we were getting is that we can fail over to the other server if one fails out. If one goes down, we can fail over to the other one. So these HA and DR techniques are all useful or all important because we can either fail over or we are not missing or client is not getting delayed for the data or the query. So its downtime is like reduced minimal. So that's a basic advantage of that thing. So when we talk about always on, so SQL Server is called say like always on availability groups. So that SQL Server calls it. So it's basically provides a failover environment to the databases. And in better terms, we can say it availability databases. So that databases, these can fail over together. So today we will discuss and show like what is always on, and let me draw a diagram for you so that we can understand what it is and we can understand the setup we are gonna set up do in practical basically. So another point to note it in this thing is always on sits on the Windows failover cluster. To set up the always on functionality in SQL Server, we should be having Windows Server failover clustering in place. So that's the another point to be noted. So if we make it like, suppose this is our WFS WF Windows Server failover cluster. So in short form, we call it as WSFC, Windows Server failover cluster. So this whole block is Windows Server failover cluster, in which we comprised of various nodes out there. We can consist of like in this cluster we are having 3 nodes, so that's what we are gonna take in practical. We are having 3 nodes in which what I'm gonna show you in the practical. And always on gives you like one primary server and can be up to at most 4 secondary servers. So in always on you can have one primary server or primary replica, we call it in the always on terminology, and up to 4 secondary replicas or the servers. So that's the important point. So let's name it secondary. So those are the important points to keep in mind. So we will be taking like one primary and the 2 secondary as a setup over here when we'll be discussing this thing. So always on, when you are making a group, so in always on we can make a group of one or more databases so that it can be involved in always on availability groups. And we can set up the always on so that if something happens to the one or the primary server, suppose this is a primary one, so consider it is a primary, this is our first secondary, and this is our second secondary. So if something happens to this one, it can automatically switch over or the fail over to the secondary one. Another benefit which always on provides is you can set any of the secondary to store the backups of all the replicas involved. Either you can make secondary to take the backups of all the replicas involved, or both the primary and secondary, or make this one or make the primary one. If your primary is the main read and write database or read and write contact for the client application, and secondary is just for the failover purpose, you can make one of the secondary as a read only, just for the reporting purpose. So you can have a design in which you are making these like a failover. Like this is like a, primary one. This is a standby server for this one, so that if something happens to this one, it can take it over. And you can make this secondary as a read only, so that people can contact this server or, point applications to this server just for the read only purpose. So that's another advantage of the always on. So how always on works? So there, let me include all the terms involved in this one, so that we are aware of what's involved in this one. So basically, this Microsoft brought this always on technology, or always on groups, to replace the database mirroring. When we were studying the database mirroring, we were having primary and the mirror server, and we were having a third server over here, which is called the witness server. My mirror server was always in restoring state, means it cannot be touched by any other application, just for the backups restoration purpose it was used. And it's only brought in the limelight, or it's brought online for the applications when something happens to the primary one. So, and over there was a witness server in database mirroring. So database mirroring was giving us the option of do the failover with the help of witness server. In always on, we are not having any witness server. That failover part is served by the Windows Server failover cluster. That's an important point. So if somebody asks you in the interview, like, what's the difference between like database mirroring? Everybody says that Microsoft introduced always on to replace database mirroring. So you can say that in all database mirroring, we are having a witness server. We can or we cannot have a witness server. So witness server is there in the database mirroring, but in always on, we are not having witness server, but we do have to set up the always on the Windows Server failover cluster. So that's provide the added benefit of the failover. So it can fail over to any of the nodes. If something happens to this one, it can fail over to any of the one, which one is synchronized. So like in database mirroring, we were having two synchronous modes, basically two availability modes, like the high performance and the high safety mode. In the same fashion, in this one, we do have asynchronous and asynchronous. Those two terms are there. So in the same fashion, like high safety mode, in this one we can call synchronous as a high safety mode and asynchronous as a high performance mode. So how data get replicated, or how these server maintains their data. So suppose we set up the always on the primary. We made like two databases out there as a group. So Windows Server failover cluster. So yesterday we were discussing about Windows Server failover clustering. We were discussing about SQL Server clustering. So we saw that when we set up the cluster, we do have resource groups out there. In this one, Windows Server failover cluster marks availability groups as a resource group. So if you made one group of one database, another availability group of the two databases. Like suppose in first group you took test database, in second group you took AdventureWorks and Northwind database. So those two groups, Windows Server failover cluster will look as two resource groups. And it maintains, or it checks at the resource group level. If something happens to the resource group level, it checks out. If something happens at the resource group level, if it sees any events, if there is any failure, okay, primary fails out, it will see at the resource group level. Then it will switch over to the secondary replica or the another secondary replica or another one or the another one, because there are at up to 4 secondary replicas we can make it out. So we can make it out up to 4 secondary replicas. So that's an important point. So we got in the same like over here we have to do the like full backup earlier so that it can be restored on the all the secondary replicas. And after that, always on groups synchronizes by taking the transaction logs from the primary one and hardening or applying them on the secondary ones. I use the terms hardening. The hardening basically used for writing it to the disk. Once you transfer the transaction log and you write it to the disk, that's called hardening. So we took the full backup earlier and we applied on the all the secondaries while setting up the always on, or we can do it like before that thing too. If we haven't done that before, while setting up the always on, it will ask us to do that. And if we did earlier, so it will check it out that it's already been applied onto the secondary ones. Then it will not ask for the full backup. And what it do, it will put the log backups on the shared drive and will apply that accordingly on the secondary ones. If it's synchronous, before committing it out on the primary, it will wait for acknowledgement from the secondaries. And once it gets acknowledgement from the secondary that they have hardened the transaction log, then primary will harden it. So there is a latency involved in the synchronous mode. In database mirroring terms, we were calling it a high safety mode. There is a second mode called high performance mode or asynchronous mode, in which when we transfers the or applies the transaction logs on the secondaries, primary don't wait for the secondary to send the acknowledgement. It just goes on its process, just send the transaction log and moves to the another one. Transaction logs sent out, moves to the another one. So there is a mismatch. So secondary is not up to date. So when we are having asynchronous or high performance mode, there is a risk of data loss. But when we are in a synchronous mode or the high safety mode, there is not a risk of data loss. Sorry. But there is a latency involved. So in today practical, we are gonna see like, again I will show you how to set up the Windows Server failover cluster, because that's important and that's a very first step in setting up the always on. And we'll see like we are having 3 nodes out there, and we'll see how we can set up the always on. So let's go in the today's practical. So what I did for the practical, I made a workstation. Let's enlarge this thing. So I made a workstation machine, and oops, I can't see my mouse. All right, I can see now. Okay, so I made a workstation machine. Anyway, my mouse was not working when I changed that. So anyway, I changed back. So what I did, I created 4 virtual machines out there. One is a DC node, that's called the domain controller node. And other 3 nodes are the simple nodes, simple servers. So basically we got like 4 servers out there. And I just assigned like 1 gig to 2 servers and another 512 megs to another 2 ones. I installed my domain controller on the DC node so that I can set up the domain out there. And I named my domain as Chirag Lab. So if I go on my domain controller DC node machine right here, and I go out there in the Windows Server failover cluster. Here is my cluster. So my cluster name is AW Chirag cluster. So like yesterday when we were setting up the Windows Server failover clustering, we set up the SAN thing by taking the iSCSI target and installing it and configuring the initiator on the different nodes which will be using that target. We didn't did anything over here. And yesterday when we were looking at the Windows Server failover cluster or SQL Server clustering, we installed the special installation of the SQL Server, like install first on the primary node the failover instance and then the add a node to the cluster. So we are not required to do that thing. We can do our normal installation on the 3 nodes. So what I did, I made a cluster by creating a cluster, right? Like hit over here, create a cluster, and follow the same process. So it will ask you what nodes you want to add in there. You will add the nodes. It will do the validation. You will provide the cluster name, and it will move forward. It will validate out your all the parts, and it will check it out. It will create the cluster for you. So this is the wizard like we discussed yesterday. In the second over here, select servers. You will select out the servers. So I selected out all the 3, node 1, 2, and 3, because I'm gonna show you always on, or we are gonna set up the always on the 3 servers, and we are gonna make node 1 as a primary one and another 2 as a secondary ones. So you will select the servers out there. It will check out the validations. You will give you the cluster, the IP address and the name. Our cluster IP address is 192.168.2.20, and you will hit next and install the cluster. So once cluster is installed, you will look something like this thing. If you are having errors in the cluster, like earlier when I set up the cluster, it was node 1 as the host server. Then I failed over. It failed out and it checked out, or it fail over to the another one. And now its host server is the node 3. It consists of 3 nodes. When you expand the nodes, you will check out all the nodes involved in this one. If we hit the disk, yesterday we will seeing like 3 disks over there, data, log, and the quorum. Over here, we didn't set up any disk. But as an action, when you set up the cluster, it will set up the cluster disk onto the primary node. Whatever you are making is a primary while setting up the cluster. So this is a cluster network. It's showing like how many subnets are involved, like 1 subnet is involved. Yesterday we were talking about the clustering, in which we can do the clustering on the multi-subnet to provide like, better failover, or, better higher availability if one whole subnet fails out, so that we can switch over to the another subnet. So it will show like different subnets involved in this one over here. Now we are just having one subnet, so it's just showing like we are having this subnet with these IPv4 ranges. Cluster use enabled and status is up. You will see like what's involved and how it's performing. So you will see all that. So yesterday we were having like disk over there, so you can check the health of the cluster out there. If you want to failover, just right click over this and you can do the failover. So anyway, that's the very first step in setting up the always on. So you should know how to set up the cluster. So that's why I showed you in detail again, so that you know how to set up the cluster at least. So next step, once you are having nodes, you install your server, Windows Server on these nodes like one by one, and then you install the SQL Server. So let's go into one of the node, like let's go to the node 1 or the node 2 basically, suppose, and we go out and check out. I do have a SQL Server copy on the network share. Let's see what's showing in my domain, the shared networks. Let's open it, and it will the very basic installation of the SQL Server what we did earlier. So in SQL Server 2012, if you see, we'll run the setup, and it will the very basic setup. So if I run it, it will be the very first thing you will select it out. Okay, perform the standalone installation. You are not going to do the failover, so you will do the standalone. So I'm not gonna include that installation again. So it's a basic one. So you just have to do like you are doing on your personal machine, like earlier you did that. So it will be the same installation. It will extract out, it will check for updates, you will set out the basic data directories, and you will check install that thing and go on. So another point to note out here over this, so when you are doing the installation, it's better to run, if I go in the installation tab and do the first one, new standalone installation. Yesterday when we were discussing SQL Server clustering, we were doing this one on the primary node, and another nodes, whatever nodes included in the clustering, we were doing like add node to the SQL Server failover cluster. For always on, we don't require these steps. We just need to do like normal standalone installation. So anyway, let's close this thing. So I installed SQL Server on all the 3 nodes. After that, you need to remember this thing. Once SQL Server is installed on all the nodes, you have to make sure your SQL Server service is running with some domain account. I'm running it with my domain administrator account. So my SQL Server service on each of the node, like this is my node 2, AW node 2, always on node 2. In the same fashion, I have always on node 1 and always on node 3. So I have 3 nodes right here if you see. Node 1, node 2, node 3 and DC node. So the important point to remember over here is that when you are installing the SQL Server, you should be using the domain account. And when you are on the window of authentication, like you have to set up the Windows authentication or SQL Server authentication mode, which you want to set up. So add that particular user as an administrator, so that when you are logging in, you should be having admin rights, so that you can change it. You can do anything on the server. That's the second part. So that's an important one to remember. So once SQL Server is installed on all the 3 nodes, you can access your SQL Server from any node. So let's go to the node 1. I opened my SQL Server for all the, that's called, let's move this thing. Yep. So now let's come to the always on setup. How we can set up the always on. So the primary task, or the very first task in setting up the always on, you have to install the always on cluster. So if we failover cluster, so if we go in this one, so very first step is Windows Server failover clustering. Then we set up the 3 nodes. Our first one, that's called the, to Control Z, and that's the our AW node 1. Then we do have second node, AW node 2. Then we have third node, AW node 3. So that's our setup now. And we do have domain controller. That's just for setting up the domain. So we do have now. So these things, let's make one more thing right over here. So suppose this is our always on availability group. And these are our, let's make 3 more boxes over here and name it like primary replica. One node. So one replica can be set up on the first node. So basically node is considered as a replica over here. Secondary replica. It's again the secondary replica. So if we are having 2 more secondaries, then these will also be the secondary replica. and this outer line which covers all these replicas is always on. So if I consider it as always on group, and we can make it like this. So this is the whole setup. So we got Windows Server failover clustering working. We installed our SQL servers, standalone installation on all the nodes. So that's the second step. Now we have to set up the always on group. Let's go in there again. Suppose we are at the first node. We have a different tab out there, always on high availability group. If we expand this, or if we go in there, like I already set up one group out there. So if we go in there, availability group, we can set up the new availability group wizard. Hit that thing. It will open like this. So create a new availability group. Alright, so it specifies create an availability group. You will need following steps. Group name, databases, one or more hosts to host the secondary replicas. You can specify the listener. So listener, if we haven't talked about listener, so let's talk something about listener. So suppose we are having a client over here. It's a client machine. So earlier in the Windows Server failover cluster, when client was connecting to the cluster, failover cluster, it will see just one IP address. That's for the cluster. Like right here, our Windows cluster IP address is like 192.168.2.20, I believe. So in failover clustering, it was just seeing this one. Now always on is at the database level. We are making group of databases in this one. So either if we are not setting up the listener, it has to connect it like primary one. If it want to connect to primary one, it has to set up like same way. It has to provide the server name. Like for this one, it has to set up like AW node 1. Then it will connect to this one. For this one, it has to set up like AW node 2. Then it will connect to this one. For developers in the company, they can know, okay, this is our primary one, so we can point to this one. But there is another thing out there that's called listener. So suppose this is our listener, and we call it as a always on or availability group listener. That's a better term. So we call it this one. So when we assign a listener, we assign a IP address to listener in this one. So if I say this one, the one I was working on, I set up like 192.168.2.21. So now clients, whichever is communicating this one, we can provide our AGL. AGL is always availability group listener. So they can point to this one. And whichever one is the primary one, or whichever one is, offering the read-write connections, will, be pointed to that thing. So this listener will pick up that one, whichever is, the up, or whichever is the, the primary one. If something happens to this one, it will make the secondary one as the primary one, or whichever wins out in the voting one. So it also uses the quorum, but quorum is based on the nodes. So it checks out the node majority. If we set up like, you can set up, okay, this can be synchronous one, this cannot be, this can be asynchronous one. So if you set up like this, our first secondary is synchronous one, our secondary one is asynchronous one. So quorum will decide, okay, we can move on to the secondary one in case of the failure, this secondary, because it's a synchronous and we are not having any data loss, or we are having minimal data loss. So that's another thing. So we can set up the like different type of modes with the secondaries. With first secondary it can have like synchronous, with secondary it can have asynchronous. So anyway, let's go in there. So let's go in there. So next step is choose the group name. So if I already made the group, but anyway, if I do it, I name it like suppose availability group for SQL batch. So suppose name it this one. So it will show you which databases are present on the server and which you can make as a part of availability group. So another point to be noted over here is that for making a database to be part of availability group, you have to have a full backup. Because as we discussed earlier, how the whole synchronization process works, or the whole data transfer process works. It first applies the full backups on the secondary nodes and then transfers the transaction log backups or hardens that on to the secondaries. So the very first step, again, we do have to have a full backup. So like our first Adventure Work 2012 is already involved in the availability groups. So let's take the second one, and we do need to take the full backup for this one. Oops. So let's make it down and go to the databases. So if you see, this is showing a synchronized one. So anyway, let's go in the task. So again, we need to do a backup. Go to the backups, choose add the device and all that, and I prefer to generate a script. So let's close it out and make a script for DW over here. So database name is DW, AdventureWorks DW 2012. So another point to be noted over here is that so we have to make a shared drive. We have to make a shared drive. So like suppose over here I made a shared drive on node 3. You can make on any of the node, and you can make it available or should make it sharing. So like if I go in node 3, this is our node 3, AW node 3. And on my node 3, my computer over here, I made a data share right here. So this data share is shared among all the nodes. So if I go in there, in the properties, I have to share it. So it's shared, and my shared path is AW node 3 data share. So do you remember that? Because we are gonna provide this share in this one so that our transaction log backups can be copied over this one, or if we are doing a full backup, that can be copied over this one. So anyway, let's go back again in the node 1 over which we were trying to set up the always on. Let's go out there, and over here I specified backup database AdventureWorks DW 2012 to disk, and I provide my share address at AW node 3 data share AdventureWorks full backup, and let's make it AdventureWorks data warehouse full backup 0501, and now time is 8:38. So make it 8:38, and I hit check it out, run it out. Go in this one, I will say 10%, 20%. So this is the very first step, and if I go in there, and I refresh it, there you go. Earlier it was showing you it needs full backup. Now it's done. So let's make this one. Let's go to the next one. So this is another screen where you can set up all the stuff for the always on, and that's an important screen. So what we covered, we specified the name for the always on group. We selected databases which will be the part of the always on. If something is not full backup, it will show you full backup is required. So that's the next step for this one. And we took the full backup and we included those backups or those databases into the group. We checked out whatever we want to include in. Now we can specify the replica. So as we talked about in our diagram, we have primary replica. We have two secondary replicas in our this practical. Let's go out there and let's add two more replicas. So there is a node out there, add replica, and I choose like add replica for node 2, connect. It's added as a secondary. Over here you can see primary, secondary role. Add the third one, select out my third node, connect it out. So it will show my third one over here, right here. It's a little bit slow because of the memory. So anyway, so it showed out. Now you can do the automatic failover up to 2. So we can check out this one, we can check out this one, we cannot check out the third one. If you want to make your third, as I was telling you, you can make it like this thing. This secondary can be synchronous one, this can be asynchronous. You can check out over here. So if I go back in there, you see out there synchronous commit. You can make up to 3. So that's the maximum value. So that can be again question in the interview, like how much, like what are the total number of replicas you can make as a synchronous, because we can add 2 more replicas out there, 2 more secondary out there. So but we cannot make them synchronous. We can at a time in a particular availability group, we can set up at most 3 synchronous commits. So anyway, if I check it out, then it will be synchronous and there will not be any data loss, and I can leave it open and it will be asynchronous commit right here. This replica will use asynchronous commit availability mode and support a failover, force failover. So another thing, there is a term called failover, which we discussed in all of them, the database mirroring, replication, and all of that thing, log shipping. So failover, it's the same thing. Like in the database mirroring, in the high safety mode or in the synchronous mode, we were having like automatic, manual, and the force failover. So all 3 types of failover are present in the high safety mode or the synchronous mode. In high performance mode or the asynchronous mode, we are just having the force failover. So we can only forcibly fail over one node to the another one. So anyway, and we can set up, like if I want to make like these two are like just for the applications for read write purpose, and we want to make third for the like reporting purpose. Like we do have a the situation in our enterprise or in the company that we are having 3 servers out there, and we just want to maintain a special server just for the reporting purpose, so that nobody can change the data, just can serve as a read-only purpose. So we can make it read-only, read intent only. So this server AW Node 3 will only accepts a read-only, what's that called, connections. So it will only accept the read-only connections. If some application is coming with a read-write intent or read-write actions, if somebody wants to insert the data, it won't be doable on this node. So next thing, we have to set up the endpoints. Now when I installed a SQL Server on my nodes, I installed the default version. So it gave it like port number 5022, 5022, 5022, default port for the SQL Server, and I am able to access it like with the server names. If I do have a named instance, then we will be having like server name / named instance name over there, and we could be having any of the port out there, 5023 or whatever we have set it up. So we'll be using this one. These are the endpoints which will be set up out there. Backup preference. So what we want to set up as a backup preference? Do you prefer secondary just as a backup, so that all the automated backups for this group will go on the secondary replica and will go only to the primary replica if secondary is not available? Or you just want to make it like secondary only, so that all the backups for this group will be made only on the secondary replica, or just on the primary you can make, or any replica you can choose. We will choose, like suppose we don't want to put more pressure like backup pressure on our primary one, so we can make it like secondary can do the backups. And here I can specify the priority 50-50 or what. Or if I want to exclude any replica, I don't want to take the backup of the node 3, I can check it out. So it will be the out from that scene. There is another thing called listener, which I was discussing right here. So listener, if we have set up the listener, clients will be able to just connect to the listener, and this listener will direct the traffic accordingly, whichever node or whichever replica. It's better to use the term replica in this one. So it will direct the traffic accordingly to the particular replica. If primary fails out and secondary becomes a new primary, so it will direct traffic to this secondary, which is the new primary right now. If we are not setting up the listener, we do have an option over here. Where is that? Right here. We do have an option, do not create an availability group listener now. We can set it up later on. But it's better to set it up so that we can, access it. So create a listener name, any name, provide the port over there, and provide the IP address, like provide the IP address anyone over here and add it. So, and it will check the data synchronization over there. Like suppose over here I provided, what should I provide? Like AGLL, first one I made it like this one, 1433. That's a basic listener port for SQL Server. So IP address, I'm not sure whether I do have enough IP addresses over here because I already consumed all of them. So 2 dot, let's make it out 22. Let's make it. All right, it's added. If I go next, it says how you want to do the data synchronization preference. Start with full, or just want to join it out, or skip out the initial data synchronization and you want to do it on by your own. So over here, let's start with like full backup. Start data synchronization by performing the full database backup for selected database, and we already provided a share node address over here. Perform the next one. It will check out various checks over here and will tell you if something fails out. It checks out shared location, it performs all the tests, and all the results performs out to be success. If I do next, it will give me the summary what we are gonna do, and if I hit finish, it will create the availability group for this one. So yeah, so I was telling you we set up the endpoint, HADR endpoint, high availability disaster recovery endpoint over there, and it's present over there, which we set it up. So for next thing, we have to go in the always on high availability tab, expand this one. If you'll see, we set up the lab AG group. So that's acting, this node 1 is the primary one. I set up node 1 as a primary one, so it's showing like a primary one. And if we go in the node 2, it will show you as a secondary one. Node 3, if you go out there, it will show you as a secondary one. It's expanding over there, secondary one. So in this setup, we are having one primary and two secondaries. And again, if you expand this, you will see replicas. You can expand over there, node 1 as primary, node 2, node 3 as secondaries. Databases involved, you can see over there. Listeners, you can see out there. So for managing this thing, you can pretty much open this tab and you can right click this one, show dashboard. So it will give you pretty much nice output, the health of your AG group. Your first node is up, all the signs are green. You can start your, failover wizard from this one. And you can view your health events, like something failed out, or cluster information out from here. So you can check out over there from. Now suppose, like primary one will be the one which will be accepting all the requests, which will be handling all the requests. If something comes up to the listener, so it will provide, drive your request, or forward your request to the primary one. Secondary one will be the just for the failover purpose, and like third secondary, if we set up for the read intent, it will be for the read only purpose. All the read only request will be forwarded to this one. Other request read write will be forwarded to primary one. Now second thing you can do, right click your AW group, AG group basically, and if you want to do failover, you can hit failover. There will be nice wizard out there. It will check out, like select new primary, hit next. It will show you which node you can switch over to. Like we set up like third node as a asynchronous one, so it shows you can have data loss out there. Node 2 is synchronous commit, so basically like high safety mode. So we are having like no data loss. It's showing like green sign. We can check out this one, but it's showing like it can have data loss, and it will confirm from potential data losses. It will check out the data losses and will show to you, okay, this much amount of data you can lose out. Or you can select out this one, then it will not be having any data loss. You do next. You have to connect to that replica basically to check out the connection if it can make it out. It made it out. You can hit next. It will show you. It's gonna make your new primary replica. Current replica is like, primary one is node 1. It will make your secondary one is like 2.1. So it's like a manual failover. And we cancel. I'll show you in. Yes, I want to cancel it out. So that's how you can do the failover. If something happens to your primary one, if this node fails out, it will automatically, bring your primary to the next one. So that's another thing. And if we open the databases, you will see like this one is like in a synchronized state, and this one will be in the synchronized state. So it will keep on synchronizing. So that's the one. I do have a application out there, so which I made in .NET just to show you guys how I am accessing, how we can access this thing. So if I go in the config of this one, so like in the config file, let's go in there. So over here, I specified my net listener name. So when I'm specifying my listener name, so any application, suppose this is our user application, main application. So if it's having a listener name, then it doesn't have to supply the node name. If we want to supply the node name like AW node NODE1, suppose I supplied it out and I save it out, and I down, and where is my application? Right here. Let's refresh it out. Refresh it out. Didn't save it out. Data source AW node 1, close it out. Let's open it. Run. So it's making connection to AW node 1. Right here you can see the configuration. Making to 2012. Integrated security 2. So if we are not specifying the listener, then this is how we have to specify in the application. Either we have to specify the node name. Okay, this is my primary one. Now if I specify the 2 over here, because that's not the, that's a secondary one. It's not accessible. So you won't be able to connect it out. So that's the benefit of AWL. Let's go in the config again and let's see how it will fail over. So, or how it will. So what was the name of the listener? I forgot. Let's go in there. A node and go in the always on lab AGL. So let's go in there and say it out. Lab always on group, availability group. So let's close it out. Let's save it out. And let's go in the application. Let's close it out again. Let's open it. And I run it. So okay, now it's connected to the listener. And listener, we know that if we go in this screen over there and I open a new window, or I open the activity monitor, I hit this one, like hit this one, I open the activity monitor. Open it out. So you will see the processes out there, and you will see one coming from my application. It's taking time to refresh. refresh. So right here. So you will see one coming from the application. So if you go down right here, 63 is the one which is our application. So if I go down and I stop the service on first one, suppose something happened to my, node 1, I stopped it. Ask me. So it will ask you for stopping the service. So my first one go down. Okay. Yes, made it. So what should happen over here? It will make the secondary one, the synchronous one. That's fine because it's down. We know that. So that's down. And if you see, it will show you like health of the database now. So always on group. So if we go down and go in the application, if we refresh it out, it should work. So it should work. So it's working right here. It's working out. And if I go in there and will check out, because our node 1 is down. So if I'll close it out and go in this one and refresh it out, refresh this one and expand this one. Now it's a primary. Now if we check out the traffic to this one, so our application automatically directs the traffic to the node 2. So if we go in the processes, go down right here. So that's our application over there. So our users didn't see any difference. So that's a benefit of listener. Otherwise, if you are not setting up the listener, it will work. You have to specify the nodes then. Then you have to provide the node name. If you are setting up the listener, then it will automatically direct that traffic. It will automatically pick it up. And now you can, start the service. If you want to start it, you can start it. But after starting a service also, this one will act as a secondary one. It won't come as a primary one. And if you want to fail over again, like if I go in there, refresh out this one, expand this one, secondary. Now if you want to do failover, so see how we do the failover again. Do the failover. Next, to the 8 node 1, which is our earlier one, connect it out. Go to next, finish. So it will do all the task and make your primary one as the node 1 as the primary one and node 2 as again the secondary one. So these are all the steps which are used, for the management. So you guys should know all the steps. So it gives us error or basic warning, not the error on the quorum, and that's fine because we didn't include any disk or something voting mechanism. We are just taking the nodes and all that, and we think it's the best one. So let's see. And if we go in this one, see, it automatically showed out there. It's the primary one. So today we discussed what's always on, what type of benefit we get, how do we set up the always on, and we have to set up the Windows Server failover cluster first of all to set up the always on, and we can have up to 4 replicas, secondary replicas, 1 primary and up to 4 secondary replicas. We can, how we do the management of the always on, and if something fails out, how we see the application usage over here, how our application is just working even if one of the server is down. It doesn't have any impact on this one. So that's how we covered each bit and pieces of the always on. So for today we are done, guys, and we'll see our next lecture tomorrow, and we'll cover like other